I'm Julia Mullarney. I'm an earth scientist at the University of Waikato. My research area is mostly coastal processes, so sort of environmental science but related predominantly to the coast. We've been looking at how kelp responds to waves, and we've done that by putting accelerometers all the way up the central stipe of the kelp. And that's actually quite important because if we can predict how kelp moves, if it's subjected to a different set of conditions, it might move differently. And if it moves differently, it might perhaps be subjected to more forces so that it breaks off and then you lose the kelp and you might lose entire ecosystems. I've received funding from the Office of Naval Research in the USA to work on a project in the Mekong Delta in Vietnam. We looked at what happens to the sediment that enters the Mekong River. And one of the key things we were looking at is the processes that control where that sediment goes. If the mangroves, for example, are accreting or if they're in an eroding area. These regions are under threat from land subsidence and sea level rise. Places in the Mekong, they've removed the mangroves and replaced it with shrimp aquaculture, but then that also removes the protective functions of these trees. The key ways we can sort of make management decisions about the coast is using a numerical model or a computer model of the waves, the currents, the tides, and sediment and how it moves around on the coast. These models, while they're very useful tools, they're certainly not perfect. And in order to improve the models, we need a better understanding of the key physics, the underlying equations which control how these systems move, how they react. One of my key areas is taking good measurements to underpin the understanding by good observations and good data. This can go into these models of the system that will then help government to make the appropriate decisions on how to manage areas, for example, whether you would protect an area against flooding or whether something like relocation is in the long term going to be the best strategy.